All right, it's time for the main event breakdown brought to you by the MMA Junkie radio team. We're talking about UFC Fight Night 138 in Moncton, Canada. We have Volkan Ozdemir against Anthony Smith in the main event. Ozdemir is the favorite at minus 190. Smith comes back at about plus 160. Remember to shop around. These odds shift from house to house, from day to day, so do your due diligence. Dan, Tom?
You know, I actually agree with the odds makers here, George. You know, despite my love for Anthony Smith, I came in as well favoring Volkan Ozdemir, who is, you know, the justified favorite. Not by a lot. Again, I think the line's about right here. Shouldn't be too crazy in either direction. He's a great pressure fighter, you know, underrated wrestling. And now this is going to be his first camp, which is interesting to me, at TriStar Gym. Now, it's a great camp to go to, but, you know, what I'm going to be looking for is when a guy goes to a camp for the first time, there's always that adjusting fight. It also is like, even whether their trajectory is going upward or downward, there's always that one adjusting fight. Is he going to have that, or, you know, is he going to have a good performance? Because I believe Faraz Zahabi and a lot of that, what they teach at the gym will go great with the Volkan Ozdemir style as far as ring generalship goes, opportunistic takedown, something I'm going to be looking for. Whereas Anthony Smith, you know, he's coming into his own now. You know, he adjusted a lot of his cardio issues and mental relapses that he would have kind of in fight, and adjusted that IQ, adjusted the cardio. And I got to imagine those things are only at a high now that he's riding a high, moving up in weight, not having to diminish himself from the weight cut. But I'm actually going to go with Anthony Smith here because after watching tape, we still don't know a lot about Volkan Ozdemir. Volkan Ozdemir, in his fight before the UFC and the fight when he first got in the UFC, were the last 2 decisions. He only has 3 decisions total, win or lose, in his whole career. Other than that, he hasn't been out of the first round. And in the most relevant of those last 2 decisions, he got tired come the 3rd round, even in the fights he was really doing well in and controlling, especially the first one. Now, Anthony Smith is one of the best 3rd-round fighters in any division. He's a slow starter is his problem. He comes on late. I believe he has, you know, 2 out of his 3 last of his stoppages both came in the 3rd round. So I'm actually, if Anthony Smith can survive the firefight or getting into a crazy war, not that he can't win that type of fight, but I think that's Volkan Ozdemir's path. But if he can survive that, I think that the veteran savvy, that quiet veteran savvy Anthony Smith has, can win him the fight. I'll go Anthony Smith 3rd round.
I thought we were going to be on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
But I'm glad to hear that you're thinking like I am. Smith, for me, is the play. You know, it's kind of like a quarterback, man. When he's in sync, he'll throw like 10 straight completions. He can just see the field. His guys are running fast. The defense is in slow motion. Nobody's touching him. And I feel like that's where Anthony Smith is. Not only has he gone up in weight, he just seems like a happy and content Anthony Smith who can push his workouts even further than he used to. And at the same time, the names that he's beaten. Sure, he's caught Rashad Evans and Shogun Rua, maybe on the downside of their careers, but that's still 2 tough fighters that can rise to the occasion at any moment, and he made them both look like they weren't champions ever in their careers. So I just love the momentum that he's riding, and you're right. I also noted that Ozdemir moved camps, no longer with Henry Hooft and the guys down there in Florida, but up at TriStar. Now, that's not to say that's a bad move, but I'd like to see what the move does for him. On the other end of the spectrum, again, we just have a guy that's just flying high. I'm going to go with the hot hand, so I'm going with Anthony Smith. How about you guys?
This last year, these are 2 fighters that I keep seeing their performances and saying, they can't do that again, but they keep doing it again. So it's a really tough fight to call. I think Anthony can be aggressive, maybe too aggressive sometimes, that could play into Volkan's game. So I'd like to see him be aggressive when he has to be. Other than that, I think if he just stays on the outside and takes his time, you're right, Dan. We don't really know what Volkan's like in the later rounds. I'd like to see Anthony Smith maybe try and take that to the later rounds and use that to his advantage. And if he does, then I would pick him. But I wouldn't be shocked if Anthony's just a little too aggressive, ends up in Volkan's hands, and here we go again, right? But my pick, if I had to, you want to put that gun to my head, George? Give me Anthony Smith.
Woo! Oh, okay. So I guess we're on the same side of the underdog.
Wow, okay.
How about that?
I wasn't surprised. Oh.
Yeah, there you have it. There's our breakdown. And, hey, don't sleep on this main event, man. This is a good main event. Seriously, I wish it was in Vegas. You're lucky, Moncton, Canada. Enjoy that fight. And there's the breakdown from the MMA Junkie radio team.